Hey, everybody. I'm back from Florida. So I decided to grow this hipster beard because I'm a hipster coder. And we'll see how it goes. A little bit itchy, so it bothers me a little bit. All right. I don't even know if I covered this particular subject, so let's just get into it. Choosing a programming language for a startup. I've got this question a few times, so let me answer. So when you're choosing a language for your startup, you have to consider the same things that anybody else is going to consider when you're choosing a programming language for a particular project. Number one, does the language lend itself well to that particular project? You're not going to be writing iOS apps with PHP, since nobody writes, well, you can't write iOS apps with PHP. You got to use Swift or Objective-C. Now these days, if you're writing an iOS app, you're going to use Swift because it's the newest language, and Apple is basically pushing Swift. And there's good reasons for it. It's more productive. Anyway, off on a tangent there. So first thing you have to do is you have to choose the language that best matches the job at hand. Number one. Number two, you have to look at the local talent. You're setting up a startup, you don't want to choose some language that could be perfect for a particular type of app that you're going to build, a website or whatnot, but you can't find anybody to actually write the code. So you have to look at the local talent. Next thing you should consider is the cost of a particular language in terms of developer time. If you find yourself in a niche language or using a niche framework where your developers are going to become more and more rare, the cost and the difficulty of hiring these developers is just going to increase quite a bit. So for me, as a startup founder, I would find a language that meets those three criteria. Number one, it has to be suited and suitable for the project at hand. Number two, you have to make sure that the availability of developers in your area is there, if that matters, because you may be looking to hire people overseas, although there's some issues with that. When you're hiring people overseas, you're going to have communications issues, possibly. That's one of the major things that you'll see when you're developing apps, especially long-term. Communication is huge. That's why I always tell people, first skill in becoming a great developer is understand your core and your foundation. Second most important skill is great communication skills, spoken and written, because that really makes a huge difference in terms of the speed and consistency of the development of any app. The ability to communicate the ideas amongst the developers, to the developers, with the decision makers. Communication is huge. So distance or offshoring can be problematic unless you can find people who can really communicate well with you. So communication is very important. Keep that in mind. So to conclude this short after Florida vlog, there we go, it's very important that you consider both the technical requirements of a job and the practical implications in terms of hiring talent and cost and so on and so forth. Keep that in mind. When you're writing your own apps for your own business, you have to give the business considerations equal weight to the technical considerations. A lot of developers, especially young developers, don't recognize that. They're too concerned about the bells and whistles of a particular language or a particular technology. They don't weigh that against the availability of programmers and the cost, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I hope this vlog is useful. Bye-bye.